Our next panel, I'm going to just introduce the woman who's going to lead our six-figure panel. I think a lot of you affectionately refer to her as Coach Alex. Yeah, who knows Coach Alex? Okay. Coach Alex, real quick, more than 20 years of leadership development. Her brand is Yes, She Leads. Personal development and coaching. She's also a book author, Free Your Real Vision. Give it up for Coach Alex.
What's up? Hey, TSP. Y'all look good. Listen, and you are up late, so we're going to get right to it so we can get to all this amazing six-figure success. Y'all give it up for the six-figure success panel. Mike Goodwin, Kimberly O'Neil, and Atiya Brown. Yeah. Wouldn't that give it up? That's a nugget session. How was that session for y'all? Was it good for you? It was good for me behind the stage right there. So they took us to church. We finna go to the bank. Y'all coming to the bank? Coming to the bank with us? We're gonna focus on how you get to that first six figure and how you stay there. And the obstacles that you overcome or face on that journey, right? And I'm excited to be with this group of folks because I have had the chance to see you all transform up close. So I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to everyone here. Let them know your name, of course, but your business. And I want you to answer one question for me. When you are facing the toughest day in your business, like the day that you want to quit, like the day the bank account ain't bank accounting, the math ain't mathing. What vision do you stay focused on that keeps you going? Mike.
All right. How's everyone doing? My name is Mike Goodwin. I'm a refreshingly funny comedian, keynote speaker, and content delivery coach. That's an excellent question, and it makes me think about when I was a kid. Growing up in my house, Friday night was movie night. And I'm talking about my dad would rent, like he's a science fiction guy, he'd get movie, he'd get pizza, lasagna, some type of Italian food. But unfortunately, movie night at my house was few and far between. Typically what would happen would be an argument between my dad and my mom. And I'm not even talking just verbal. It often became physical. And I remember being 8 years old, and my parents got into this argument. And typically what would happen is my dad would either leave the house or go in the room and close the door. But this particular time, he left. And I was 8 years old. I'm the oldest of three. And I just remember my mother crying, and I'm feeling helpless. I couldn't physically do anything. And my mother, she would get it, what happened this particular time, she had kind of barricaded herself in the hallway. My daddy threw her down. We're screaming to move out of the way, let him go. She gets up after he leaves and goes to the kitchen to prepare dinner like she always does. And I just had this urge on the inside. I had to do something. And what I came up with was I need to make my mother laugh. I'm 8. I didn't have the physical strength to change the atmosphere in my house. And I did some little silly thing, some little dance. I said something, and my mother laughed. And it broke the tension in my house. And I made my brothers and sisters laugh, and I made my mother laugh. And I knew at that moment I had inside of me the ability to change my atmosphere. So I think about that moment, that I carry something inside of me that can make my worst day my best day.
Hot.
Hey everyone, my name is Kimberly O'Neil. I'm an award-winning professor
Award-winning.
and social innovator, and my company is called Giving Blueprint. I focus on the intersection of philanthropy with all other sectors to make sure that people are showing up and serving our Black communities with honor and dignity. On my worst days, the things that make me keep going is I don't have a choice. If I had to do a W-2, and some people know how I feel about this, I'd do it. But I've been doing this for so long that the leaders that I have worked under are not good enough for me to serve them.
Come on.
And so I don't have a choice. I've never been fired, but after being a full-time entrepreneur, it will probably be the first time that I would be fired. So for me, it really is about thinking back and saying, I don't have a choice. I've got to figure this out. And then when you're the oldest kid, when you are the one that always figures it out, then my job is to figure it out. And so that's it. I don't have a choice, and I have to figure it out because I know that eyes are on me.
So much heart. Thank you so much.
All right, so my name is Atiya Brown. I am the owner of the Savvy Accounting Firm. It's a CPA firm where we are savvy at solving your tax issues. And truthfully, I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. I was climbing the corporate ladder, and then I was laid off. And once I was laid off, I figured out that I can help people that look like me understand the tax code better because it was written by people that don't look like us, but we can benefit from it. And so I have a vision to save my community $1 billion in tax savings. And when days look bad, I think that wealth gap keeps increasing for us, and I can't stop because, like Kimberly said, I'm the eldest, and I take that role very seriously. And I take that to my business, and I think of myself as the savvy big sister. And so I can't stop because something that I know, other people need to know, and so that's what makes me keep going.
Yes, y'all give it up for their answers. Y'all gave them the truth, okay? So I want to come to you, Kimberly, because, friend, I remember when you first joined the mastermind and we were talking about clients that you did not want to serve, but you were invested in their mission and their vision, and you were taking your corporate background and you're applying it to your business. But I also remember the day that you were able to terminate that contract because you became freer in what you were focused on. Talk a little bit about that transition from employee mindset to being an entrepreneur.
There is no amount of money that can allow me to walk away from my values. Because when you don't, the amount of money that seems really large is not enough because of all the stress and the trauma that's attached to it. And I remember getting advice about when you are the owner and the leader of a company, it is no longer just you, and the decisions that you make can't simply be emotional. And I am a Queens, New York girl. So I am super emotional when I feel strongly about something. But I had to make decisions for the people that were relying on me. And that was such a heavy weight. But I feel like in those moments, Coach Alex, it was the moment that I transitioned as a business owner, and it was just finite. And whatever was going to come after it, I would figure it out. But I knew that I couldn't lead the people that were serving me and helping me to serve community if I was at my worst every single day, just trying to be a buffer between what seemed like really great money and a great opportunity versus what I knew in my spirit and soul we were supposed to be doing based on our values.
So if you had one word to describe that leveling up to that CEO, right? One word to describe what it felt like to say, I can afford to fire a client because I'm so focused on what I'm doing, I'm gonna generate money doing what I absolutely feel purpose to do? What's that one word?
I knew how to get them the first time. If I knew how to get them the first time, I can replicate that again. But this time in replication, there are some requirements, some more requirements on my side that provide, and I won't say protection because I think I protected myself really well as a small business owner, but I also know that I could have asked some more qualifying questions, right? It was a great opportunity. It seemed right. We had really great conversation, but there were some additional qualifying questions that I could have asked that honestly, I possibly would have said no in the very beginning, so.
All right, I want to come to you, Atiya, because you also had a corporate background, and you're a numbers girl. Like, every time we talk, it is really granular. We got to get down to the money, okay, because it has to make sense. How do you transition from an employee mindset, thinking about the numbers, okay? Entrepreneurship, one day it can be up, one day it can be down, but you have to stay the course if you want to see the results. How did you make sense of that transition?
So truthfully, coming from the corporate background, the entrepreneurial world was very different. So while we focus on the numbers, how we're gonna get the clients, all of those things was foreign to me. So I had to get into a space where I can figure out who knew that information and who could help me get that information. Because while I knew the numbers, I didn't know what it meant to get clients. I didn't know what it meant to get leads, then convert them to clients. All of that was new. So focusing on the numbers was a first part, but I also needed to know that there was more than just the numbers when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And coming from the corporate background, I didn't have all of that, what I needed, and some of that came from being in the rooms like this, teaching me what I needed to know about the entrepreneur side.
Oh, I love that. This room, I hear you saying the power of this room and rooms like it that TSP has created was a part of that transition and that leveling up for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's powerful. We will have time for a couple of questions, so if you have questions for our panelists, you can go to the microphone now. And I have a question for you, Mike. Mike. You don't get tired of that, right?
Oh, I love it. You know what day it is. Hump day.
Hump day. So your background as a creative, though.
Right.
And you have a very talented family, okay? Your entire family is successful entrepreneurs. But your background as a creative into that transition in entrepreneurship, really thinking about what you love to do, get on stage, entertain. You've been on television, you've been in competitions, you have specials that are streaming on television. What is that like, having to say, I love what I do, but I need to build the business and the bank account as well?
The turning point for me, and maybe this will resonate with many of you, I had to get off the chitlin circuit.
Okay, listen, for those who do not know exactly what the chitterling circuit is.
Circuit. I'm talking about I was headlining, featured, naming lights. So if you don't know what the chitlin circuit is, for me, family reunions, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, anywhere that somebody could, hey man, I'm gonna give you a couple of $100 to come to my house and tell some jokes. That ain't gonna get me to 6 figures, it won't. So I had to get off the chitlin circuit, and I had to evaluate, why do the chitlin circuit people keep calling me?
That's good. That's good. That's a nugget.
What is it about me that I keep getting these chitlin circuit inquiries? Those are not the inquiries I want.
Was you smelling like chitlins? Is that what you was wondering, okay?
What am I emitting? What am I giving off? Say, he'd be great to tell jokes in my living room. I would love to get this fella. So I had to evaluate the clientele that I want. Do I look like the type of entertainer that they would hire? What does my marketing look like? What does my business call? Who are you talking to? You talking to me when you call? Because you can pressure me. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I want to do it. Come on, let's figure it out. Let's get it done. And now I'm doing somebody's birthday party in their backyard. And so, I got committed to get off of the chitlin circuit. And I told a bunch of people no, waiting for the yeses that I desired.
Ooh, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? that. Waiting for the yeses that you desire. So what I heard you say, Mike, is that you made money, but not the right money, not strategic money, not scalable money.
All money ain't good money. That's what the streets say.
That's what the streets is talking about. And so what is maybe one thing that you would want folks to take away who are trying to level up their brand?
Look at the folks that are doing the business that you want to do. There's folks in your space that's working with the clients that you want to work with. Do you look like they look? Like, does their website, does it look like their websites? Does your online presence communicate in a manner? And mine didn't. I didn't have. I had the Wix website. I had a little Wix.
Which was fine when you first started out. But when you want your brand to talk about your bank account, you want them to match.
I'm out here with the Wix.
That wasn't working.
That's close to Wix.
It's too close.
Too close.
Y'all gonna catch that on the ride home. They gonna catch that on the elevator to their room. They gonna rethink about that one.
So level up. Just level up in terms of your investment in yourself and your
Yes.
business.
I love that. Investing yourself to level up your brand so that you can see the results in your business and your bank account. I love that. Let's take our first question from over here, Akeisha.
Hi, Coach Alex. Hey, everyone. I'm Akeisha Johnson, and I'm a leadership coach, and I work with leaders on becoming the kind of boss other people want to work for. My safe space to talk about race programs gives people the tools and the practice to talk about race and diversity in professional settings. My question is for Ms. Kimberly O'Neil. You had talked about there are questions that you wish that you would have asked that client to qualify if they really were a good client. Can you share some of those questions, please?
I think for me, it's really based on the scope of work, right? And digging deeper into what, and not just what's on paper, but what's your interpretation of it, right? Because what's on paper can be interpreted on both sides a lot differently. You can expect me to do something and I'll go back to that paper and say, but that's not there, right? But that was an expectation, but that's not there, right? And so when there are moving parts, that's also a change in a contract. A change in a contract is also change in money, right? And so here's, I think, a piece of advice. Sometimes, so I have a government background, and so I'm not afraid to tell people that doesn't protect me. But I think that we have to look at big opportunities from the lens of a big company, because we can get so happy and excited that someone invited us to the table that we forgot that they didn't even put a place setting out for us. Right? And so when you are looking at these opportunities, make sure that it is in alignment, and when it is not clear, I know our people, when they put out RFPs, they're probably tired of me, because I will ask every question so that I am clear on what I am responding to make the decision on whether or not I need to respond to it. And then if I am selected as a finalist or as the person, that we then have additional conversations on what that means and if any changes need to be discussed at that particular point, because once we're locked in, we're locked in. And I need to make sure that I am protected, because there are companies that don't care about the people that help them. I do. And I need to be able to sleep at night about the decisions I made.
Thank you so much for that. And we're going to come over here next, but I have a quick question for Atiya. I want to know, in a similar way, have you ever had to turn down a client? You evaluated them, maybe you even wanted to work with them, but you said, you know what, this is not the right goal for me, and I need to be focusing bigger. I need to be thinking bigger.
Yes, so just like Kim said, we definitely have a vetting process, and I tell people all the time, I'm the professional, but the same way that I'm interviewing you, you have to be interviewing me. We have to fit, because we are both going to be partners on this money journey, and a lot of times people think that the person handling their money is responsible for everything, but I'm here to tell you, my name is on the return, just like your name is on the return, and you are on the hook too. So people need to realize that they need to be be responsible for their money as well as the person that's taking care of it. And if I feel like what you're doing in your business, if you're trying to ask me to do something that's not legal, I'm not going to risk my license for you. I'm not going to risk my freedom for you, and I'm not going to risk my family for you. So we probably shouldn't work together just because you want to save a couple $100 and do it some way that's not legal. I'm going to help you save money, but I'm going to do it the legal way. So I've definitely had to turn people away because they saw a quick scheme that they wanted to do, but I wasn't going to put my name on that quick scheme.
Oh, that's so good. So many people find themselves in hot water in business. They say, hey, I'm gonna open up shop, I'm gonna do business, but I haven't read the rules. I don't know the regulations. I'm just out here doing something. And it sounds like what I hear you saying is the strongest path to success is to do it with integrity.
Definitely. That's like our core value in our business is integrity, because I need you to understand that how I am in front of you is how I'm going to be in another room, and I'm not going to risk my integrity or how people are going to view me because you want to do something that I don't agree with.
That's good. Let's come over here. That's great. Yeah, you all give them a applause for their responses.
Right.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jamal Mitchell, and I'm the founder and president of Future You Institute, where we help you focus your imaginations and find your inner self by creating programs that help you with your self-image, your mindset, and your belief system so you can turn your dreams into reality. My question for you is, I'm still in corporate America. I've built as much as I can outside of what I've been doing. What are the infrastructural, I just made up a word. What are the infrastructure things you would recommend for somebody that's been in corporate America, has done some of the foundational work so they can get out of that rat race to prepare them to walk through the other side with less, I understand I'm gonna experience whatever, but that's anxiety, if you will. Like if you knew that was gonna happen before you got laid off, what would you have laid from a groundwork perspective to ensure that you would have been good?
So, great question. Are you directing that to a specific person?
No, whoever, because a couple of them been in corporate America.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn to you all, Kimberly and Atiya. If you had to redo your entrepreneurship journey, that transition, the leap that you took from your careers into entrepreneurship, what is that one tool or that one automation, that one system that you would have ensured you had in place?
Community.
That's good.
When I started, there wasn't anything. The quote unquote startup community was starting up. People were, we were meeting any and everywhere, but there really weren't any real guides. And there's nothing wrong with like SCORE but it wasn't community. It was an advisor or a coach, but it wasn't community. And I feel like that has been the biggest game changer for me. So I think preparation, in terms of aligning yourself with community and people and accountability partners that will help you to stay on track, following a roadmap that allows you to position yourself before you walk out the door or if you get laid off. If I had to do it all over again, I would have started sooner. I started about 15 years later than when I first wanted to start, because I was honoring my mother paid for a college degree. But once I got started, I realized I really was in my comfort zone. I was in the place that I was supposed to be, but if I had community, I think I would have accelerated way faster than I did.
Raise your hand. This is for you all here, and I'm coming to you, Atiya. Raise your hand if you had a similar story to Kimberly. If you thought about entrepreneurship long before you ever took the leap to become an entrepreneur. Okay, so more than half the people in this room can identify with that. And so that, sir, is the advice that they're giving you here, is to take the leap sooner, faster, and launch with community. Atiya?
So I agree with community. I feel like being around people that are like-minded are going to help you go further faster. Because you have corporate, I definitely think that you should leverage that, because a lot of times people don't realize that their corporate job is going to be their first funder for their business. So you want to make sure that you are leveraging your corporate background, keeping funds, keeping that emergency fund growing, because you don't know what the business is going to do as soon as you take the leap. So definitely use your corporate as your leverage to fund your business.
Can I add one more thing to that? I'm in a second season of life. I've done a lot of things. and I got a lot of paperwork to prove it. For those of us who are more seasoned that are starting out, bring your whole self to the table. Every differentiation that you have, your years of experience, all the things that you've done and are doing in corporate America probably have a place in your business. And sometimes we like to go to ground zero, and that's where that struggle comes in, and we really don't. If I can run a city at 30 years old, surely I can build a business for myself. Because that responsibility of something I don't own was terrifying, but I did it. And so I don't think we do that enough when we have this significant experience. We don't bring the fullness of who we are to the table, and for many of us, it can accelerate our process.
I want to give Mike an opportunity to jump in on this conversation too, especially because, again, you have a family to consider. People who are thinking about taking the leap. You know, I have a daughter at home. She has special needs. I'm like, how much risk can I really take? What do I need to have in place to make sure that I can do this well?
One of the things I would do as a man, I don't know where that came from. That was straight up patriarchy right there, boy. Was have the number the minimum number you need to make to take care of your responsibilities, whatever that mortgage, insurance, whatever that is. Know that you can make that number. Have that number. Know what that number is, because once you see that number, you're like, oh man, what we doing out here? The other thing I think about, pilot some of the ideas that you have before you leave. People so itching and ready to leave. I wish I would have piloted all of the. I was sitting in an environment where my clientele was right there. I could have troubleshot a lot of these ideas and programs while I still had my job. And then the other thing is the upper limit problem. You got to find some reading on that. And you just got to attack your mindset continuously and say, hey, man, I have everything I have that I need to succeed. There's no other thing. Like, you got it. It's just when you're going to pull the trigger.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, clap it up for that. All right, we have time for about 2 more questions, so come over here.
I finally made it. Hey, everyone, I'm Dr. Michelle, the Data Doc, and I help mission-driven organizations increase their revenue and save time using their most valuable but most overlooked resource, which is their data. So I know each of you in some capacity, so anybody can answer this question. So could you talk to us about when you had to allow your faith to override what was right in front of you?
Does anyone want to answer that question?
Well, I walked out the door. But I walked out the door because now if I could do that again differently, I gave a 90-day notice. I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again because it's not mine. But I walked out because I knew it was my time. Mm-hmm. There was no question, and I don't have enough time to tell you why. But I can tell it to you when I'm off the stage. But I can tell you for sure that God woke me up on a Saturday morning and sat me in my bed for 4 hours. And at noon, I said, I got it, and I typed my resignation notice. Wow. But I had been preparing for the moment because I felt it coming. I had been piloting stuff. I had already been consulting. I did have a nest egg set aside. So I just didn't, because I knew I still had to take care of myself. But I knew it was time because I could no longer serve the communities that I was serving in my position well. And as a government official, that's when I know it was time for me to go.
Thank you.
I just simply had the thought, everybody talk about the Goliath, right? Go and slay your lion and your bear, or your tiger and your bear first. Get you some wins. So when the Goliath show up, you confident. Like a lot of times people, if you ain't fought nothing before Goliath, yeah, you're going to be scared. But if you've been killing things and Goliath show up, well, you got to die too, man.
Okay, we'll take our next question.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Merlina Fatosa, and I have a question for Kimberly and both Atiya. So for you, Kimberly, you have a impressive portfolio helping companies generate over $20 million in revenue with community initiatives. And then for you, Atiya, you have worked with individuals, real high net worth individuals with 50 and 100 million in assets. Home offices, we learned, I guess, that term as a whole. And so with these, given that, given the fact of what you all have been doing, how does that speak to us as business owners and entrepreneurs who also want to, do something in the community initiative space? We in here, we want some home offices. Some of us didn't even know the term home office before, was it yesterday? So if you all could provide any value around those things.
So family offices, they did a touch on that yesterday, and I was saying that I think that a lot of us need to realize that family offices exist, and what family offices are, it's wealthy families. They have to have a minimum of 150 million in assets that they are basically funding amongst themselves, and then it's going down generation to generation. And it's something that it's just not talked about a lot, and people that like us don't know about it. It's private, so if you're not in that room, you don't know those conversations. And like Arlen said yesterday, she was gonna get in the door of one, and that was gonna open the door to 8 others, because that's how they work. And so I definitely think that as small business owners, we need to understand that those things exist. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, so you don't know what you could be striving for. So many times, people that look like us, they get upset when somebody sells their business, they have an issue with someone selling their business, but that's how those family offices are created. You have an asset, you create it, and then you sell it, and now you can do more things with it. We just don't know those conversations, so sometimes we get in our feelings when somebody sells a business that was created by Black people and they think that they should have kept it longer. But if they're thinking of the next generation and 4 generations after that, sometimes you need to do things that you haven't thought of. And so I think understanding that those things exist and it's not just for other people that don't look like us, I think that's gonna be a great thing for business owners in this room to understand that those things are out there.
And quickly, I don't have enough time to answer, but from my perspective on business owners and impacting community, I'm gonna say this: if you wanna do good in the community, you do not have to start a nonprofit. There are many ways that you can serve, and the people that I work with, some of the most successful initiatives where we're able to funnel money into communities, it is not because someone decided to start a nonprofit because they got a message from above. It is because of my social capital and being able to go and talk to people about the needs of the community and introduce them to people, and they write the check. And so it is about really figuring out what needs to be done and the best way you as a business owner can support the communities and the efforts that you want to serve.
No, that's great. So we're closing our panel. This was so good. What do y'all think this was good panel for our speakers here? So we're gonna close here, but Mike, you supported your amazing, incredible wife, Rosalind, and your daughter, Gabby, 6 figures by the 6th grade. Atiya, Kimberly, you all came from Propel and moved into the mastermind, so you all have watched and nurtured your greatness and invested. What is the thing that you would say to someone who's considering joining this community, whether it be Propel or the mastermind, that you said, this is what you need to be thinking about as you sit in these seats, and then we'll stop here. Mike?
I would encourage you to invest in yourself. I think that you are the most valuable resource that you have. And I remember having a conversation with a buddy of mine. He was saying that your house is your biggest investment. And I'm like, no, I'm my biggest investment. Because I'm gonna yield a return, a big return. So invest in yourself and believe in the investment that you make in yourself. And this is good ground, so to speak, in terms of a community. Come get planted in this place and thrive and flourish.
Yes, Kimberly.
I said I wasn't joining. And as soon as Lamar opened the doors, I joined. And my greatest success points in business have been because of this community and Coach Alex, right? She knows that. She's my forever coach, but this community, on those days that I wanted to walk away from opportunity, Coach Alex would just have conversation with me and I go, okay, right? Because it was another perspective. So this community, if you are having doubts, it might be financial, that's on you, but it could be because you're just not ready, but I think it could also be because you're scared. And if you're looking for confirmation, I don't like spending money. And when I say, as soon as Lamar said, and the doors of the mastermind are open, I was in my room on a conference call, and I was like, I think there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi. I had to turn off my camera and the mute, and I went online and signed up. And I don't regret it 1 minute.
Yes. Atiya, you have our final word.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. So I definitely think that community is important. And I think we hear a lot about mindset, but once you get in the room and you realize that other people are doing it, then you see what's possible. And I definitely think that a lot of times people come in the room and they're not sure what they should be doing. But you're in the room, and if you have that conviction, that typically means that you're in the right place, and then you need to take that leap to put yourself in the next position so that you can grow what you need to grow. And I think being in this room definitely opens doors, opens your mind to what's possible. So many things that I didn't think were possible because I just didn't see it. I never seen this many successful Black businesses doing 6, 7, and 8 figures without drama, just encouraging each other. So I definitely think that this is a room that you guys need to be in.
Y'all, TSP, give it up for Atiya Brown, Kimberly O'Neil.